Hey guys, here's the gear. I'm going to be using the Nacet again today, and it's kind of a mini milestone with it being 490 being today's shave count on the blade. Now the brush and the soap here, Stirling's Barbershop, it's their beef tallow base, which is their standard base. These were chosen on purpose because I'm going to do the Slurry Lather method again today. This is the first time I'll be trying that with a badger. I kind of stumbled upon that method during my time with a boar that I was using all month, the Samhain Owners Club. And this badger, though, is not one of those high density ones. It's regular density, and so I think it's probably going to be fairly analogous to the boar. It's a whip dog, 22 millimeter Silvertip with the long handle from whip dog as well. And it's a 24 millimeter handle, but as you can see, I did put an O-ring right there too, because a couple years ago when I did it, I thought maybe it was opening up a little too much. And so I've just left it there. I chose this razor because it did okay on the Nacet, but not all that great. I don't think it was as efficient as it could have been, but I'm going to give it another chance today. This is the Mark II, the version 2 of the Fatip, and it's the open comb, as you can tell. It's got the Piccolo handle, solid brass handle, and it is plated. I don't remember whether it's nickel or chrome. Let's go ahead and put the Nacet in place. Identifying marks. With these Fatips, they are a great value, and they're not CNC machined, and so that's kind of why they're a great value, because if you make something with that CNC machine, you've got to charge a lot more money. But that means that they're not as precisely milled, and so you have to do something like this, and I don't actually have to align the blade at all. It landed just perfectly. You just have to check it, just like some other razors, like the DE89 types, you know, the standard razors from Maggard, same thing. And that one ended up in a good place. So I'm giving that razor another chance. And then I looked as I was holding up the gear for the photo. That's the thumbnail, and over on wet shaving, it's my SOTD shave of the day. Photo thumbnail. I noticed that the brush and these two items as well, they're all budget focused, but they're all tremendous performers. Sterling, I mean, this will last me. Now this is a 3-ounce tub. They're 4-ounce tub. Their regular 5.8 ounce tub, I've calculated, will last me about 13 months. And for $15, $16, that's crazy great value. And the quality of the lather is terrific. The other lathers that are out there, the other soap bases, like the more famous top end guys like Barrister and Mann, Declaration Grooming, Noble Otter, those guys, Mammoth, those are better than this to a lot of people, but by a little bit. When you compare the cost, this is the better value by far, because you're paying more for those others and you're getting only a small amount of improvement. And now there are some, I think Lothar, and that one that had the names like 11, I can't remember what it was. Hoover, was one of them. Vincent was one of them. And they were almost $30 for a tub that was this amount, and twice as much money. And the performance wasn't as good as this base, and it wasn't going to last as long. And so it's here on the best value. And all these products here, it just happened to be one that you're not sacrificing quality with to go cheap. And so it worked out. Pretty cool theme, as it turns out. This is a $28, $30 razor, and it's got lifetime materials because underneath the plating is brass, unlike the Parker's, Mercurs, Muleys, and what's that fourth one? Anyway, those are all Zamac, pot metal underneath that corrodes and things like that, whereas this one is not. Sometimes they have QC issues with the placement of the pins and the welding, but I've got about 8 of these and I haven't run into that yet. And so I think your chances of enjoying that razor are pretty good, especially if you buy it from a reputable vendor that it's going to take, allow you to do a return if the razor happens not to be aligned right. And then this Whip Dog brush, as it sits here soaking, is a tremendous Silvertip value. So many of the Silvertips out there are really expensive. It's a premium grade knot. This gives you a big soft Silvertip feel, but at a decent price. And the Whip Dog handle is a wonderful value. And so I didn't intend for that to be that way, but it works out. Not going to need the bowl today because I'm going to do that slurry lather method. Let me get my face wet. So a couple things about this slurry lather method. The goal here is not to overload the brush. The goal is to have a good bit of water in the brush and then not work the lather up too much on the face, to let the bits of soap be in the water like a slurry, where it's not puffy and airy up. It's not even at a low level type of looking lather. It's supposed to be very wet looking. And I just stumbled upon this with the Chiseled Face soap base. And I've been trying it. It works great with Williams. It works great with Mitchell's Wool Fat for a very fast shave. But the slickness, while Williams and Mitchell's Wool Fat give me great slickness even when I mature the lather into a normal lather, the Chiseled Face is different when I mature it. It's just not quite as slick when you compare it with the Slurry Lather method. And that's what just stunned me about it. So let's see what happens, because Stirling is a popular soap, especially among the budget-minded, but even with people who like the top-tier stuff, you owe it to yourself to try some Stirling. Of course, the places like Mammoth and Barrister and Mann are going to spend their sophisticated scents, their development of the scents is where they're going to give you kind of more for your money. But in terms of soap performance, that's what I was talking about earlier, where you're getting just a little bit of improvement over the Stirling beef tallow. And then when you bring in the mutton tallow from Stirling, that gap becomes almost non-existent with the top tier soaps, in my opinion. But the difference is, I'm not going to pull any punches. Stirling has more plain scents, but I think many of them are very, very enjoyable. And sometimes you don't need super sophistication. This one is a barbershop, and it is a kind of a warm type of barbershop to me, with maybe leathery or woody notes in there, and so I don't think a lot of other barbershops are kind of this dark or warm. And so I think that'll actually pair pretty well with Samhain from Southern Witchcrafts, a aftershave splash from them. It's spelled Samhain. And I talked to Stephen, and he said that around the shop there at Dogwood, when they're talking about stocking this and, hey, do we have any more labels for, they actually say Samhain instead of the true pronunciation, Samhain. And there's history behind the name and all that. You can look it up if you want. They're not actual witches, but they like that as a decor theme for their business. All right. So haven't used this in several months, but what we're going to do, we're going to take a pretty wet brush to this soap. You don't have to spend a lot of time loading. Then we're going to take that very wet brush, so wet that it's not really dripping when you're holding it above the sink, but when you do push it to your face, if you push too hard, a lot of water is going to come out. And so it's a gentle work at first. A lot of times with the Chiseled Face, as I worked the lather in the beginning, you couldn't see anything. But then slowly the lather would start to colorize and then that slickness, and it's ultra hydrated because of all the water that's in the brush, and you can see it. So let's give it a shot today with a popular soap base, Stirling. I'll also be trying it with some of those other bases soon, like Barrister and Mann and Declaration Grooming and Mammoth and all those guys, just to see how it works with them too. but I don't think the difference is going to be the same as it is with chiseled face, for instance, where that slurry lather was just head and shoulders for me above the lathers that I generate when I mature it, either face or bowl lathering, because these other soaps have tremendous lathers. They're top notch, and so I don't think it's going to be as different of a difference, as vast of a difference. But it'll be fun to try out, and it's a very fast method. We're starting here at the 10:30 mark, and so we'll see how that goes. All right, so this is a normal density knot, so it holds a lot of water compared to those high density ones. We're going to shake out a good bit of water. We don't want a lot in there because, like I said, when you go to your face, we don't want it all to just dump out onto your shirt. So let's load for a little while. And I was able to fine tune it with the chiseled face quite a bit because I had been using that soap all month. This is a little bit different because I haven't used this soap. So there we go. That was, I didn't notice how much load time that was. And so now we're just going to go right to the face, lightly, only for the purposes of not spilling out all that water. I like the way that it is dripping out a little bit too much. Maybe I should have shaken out more water, but I like the way it's being quite transparent. And then slowly the lather is developing. So somehow with chiseled face especially, I've just achieved a different level of slickness and a much better one. And then there we go. I think that's it. We're not trying to mature anything. I am going to use my bowl just to have somewhere to put the brush. I love the smell of barbershop. It's one that I didn't like right away because my nose hadn't become used to what to expect in the shaving world. All right. So you can see, now how does it feel? Oh yeah, see, that feels terrific. Another benefit of this, if you forget to wet your face beforehand, it's no problem because that brush has so much water that it'll do it for you. All right. This is maybe 2 days of growth, and so it may be tough on the blade and face today. Yeah, a little bit of tugging. I also discovered with this slurry lather method that because I was just dealing with the soap and water and not trying to mature it, I didn't have a lot of concentrate on my face, and so I was easily able to go to 3 or 4 passes. Whereas a lot of time a face lather, even somebody who overloads the brush with just a ton of product, sometimes on that 3rd pass they are wishing they had more product available. There we go. Be fun to try this method when I have a fresher blade. Rinse. Or just a splash of water. Because after all, we're leaving a little bit of the soap on my face to help out with the next pass. Then, take the brush. Work it in again. Since it's just a lot, it's really hydrated. And that's it. So it's not a dry paste that I'm, brushing on. And I can move pretty fast because I'm just looking for gradual beard reduction, especially with this older blade. $4.90. How about that? I think I started using this blade in 2018. I haven't used it every day since then, for those of you who haven't been watching my channel for a while. I do like to The trouble with this blade is that you can't use it on all your razors. You have to pick ones that are kind of aggressive or have a certain blade angle, you know, once it gets this high in uses. Okay, we are starting to see a slight reduction in the moisture here, but it's still terrific. Not pasty. But yeah, I've got a lot of razors that I'd like to enjoy, and I have to use younger blades with them. And so I'll have periods where I don't use the Nacet. I did not expect to be at 490 uses when I started. I started using it just before austere August, I think, of 2018. Not knowing if it would last me the month. But it did. Started it with the Black Land Dart. A little water on my face now. Pretty good feelings now. A lot of the stubble has been taken down with those two passes. So that is very nice. And you know what I can do? Since that last one had a little bit of, not really pasty, but I could tell I needed a little bit more water, I'll just dribble a few drops of water on the top of the brush there, just to kind of bring it back. So it looks like Stirling is going to be another soap that works really well with the Slurry Lather method. And if this is something I said with Mitchell's Wool Fat, with Williams, especially because Williams is kind of finicky, it's a fast way to use a soap. You don't spend a lot of time working on the lather, and you don't have to have a bowl. And so if I was traveling, or if I needed to shave every day for utilitarian reasons and I wanted to just stick with a face lather, then I would strongly be considering a lot of the shaves being the Slurry Lather method, because you do get to experience the great slickness. Yeah, see, I can feel it right now. I can feel the protection. I can feel the razor moving over my face. Even right now, see, this area got shaved, and then the neck, and now I'm coming back to it. Hasn't dried out. It still feels wet and slick. And so you don't get a lot of brush on your face, and that is a weakness of this method. But I think the kind of person who likes the practicality of this kind of time savings isn't going to be somebody who uses the brush a lot anyway, in terms of a luxury feeling kind of thing. They're not sitting there and just cherishing the way it feels because they got things to do. All right, here's what it looks like before the fourth pass. Again, I'm going to dribble some water onto the brush. I could probably do a squeeze, and get more lather out of the knot if I wanted to. But actually, I think I've been able to kind of deliver enough on my face to get the job done. But let's just see what we get. And I'm not going to do a full-scale squeeze, because with these Slurry Lathers, you know what I get when I've done squeezes? What I get is more of the same. There's not concentrate inside the brush. It's wet. It's a wet lather because we've got good circulation here. And that's just perfect lather right there that got squeezed out. It's that perfect mixture, that combination of still lightly creamy, still got that luxury sense to it, but it's really wet. And so it's super slick. So this will be the last pass. So we'll see what kind of closeness I'm going to get. So it looks like my estimation on how much I should load from the soap tub was about right. I had enough to get the shave done. So let's see here if the closeness is acceptable. And I'm going to keep using this Nacet blade as long as two things are reasonable: the closeness and the time it takes to do the shave. As long as both of those are still at reasonable levels, because I mean, I could shave with this thing for 8,000 uses and have it be painful or not give me close shaves, and that doesn't really prove anything. All right, so let's take a look at the closeness here. That's really pretty close to being good. So while this razor did not give me a great shave a few days ago, maybe a week ago when I tried it, did well today. And I'm going to do a touch-up pass here. Let's do a little splash of water. And then I could do another squeeze from the brush. Kind of move that around like that. Still have enough lather for, I had enough lather for 5 passes for sure. I'm going to remember which way my hair grows, and I'm going to do a slide against the grain notion by angling my razor head here. And that only works for this side of my neck. Then I'll have to change. I'm doing light, kind of very light touch as usual. Right there, I had a little too much against the grain. And so I pick up on that and I back off. And there we go. Face, very comfortable. None of that tugginess feeling as I was shaving has translated into irritation. So comfort is good. Clean up now. So if you like this method, if you think you might like it, give it a shot. As you can see, it was pretty quick. I think we started at the 10.5 mark, and I still was taking pauses to talk to you about stuff. And we're, at about 12 minutes, almost 12 minutes of shaving. Well, wait, I did take a couple of breaks to just rinse. So, but it's pretty darn close. So maybe I should have shaken out a little bit more water, since we did see quite a bit of it drip out onto my shirt, but maybe pick a shave shirt. Pick a shirt to wear during your shave. Don't wear the one to the shave that you plan on going to work in, But I'm going to guess many of you probably do that. Or you could, if you wear a t-shirt underneath, a white t-shirt underneath your work clothes, then that'd probably be fine. Matter of fact, that would carry some scent, right, with you through the day a little bit. Speaking of scent, let's do that splash, right? Yes, let's do the splash. Halloween, aka Samhain, and they do put good stuff in here, like witch hazel, aloe gel, water, glycerin, vitamin E. Shake well before use. And the notes that they mention, I love how they do this to remind you, a little bit of pumpkin, sandalwood, bourbon, and tobacco. I do not like pumpkin spice stuff. I don't like pumpkin pie generally. And so if you also aren't a big fan of pumpkin, I don't do that Starbucks pumpkin spice latte thing. Do not let that dissuade you from trying this. Either the soap or this. Because those other notes to me come across stronger. Or they help the pumpkin to not be quite so commonplace, basic, irritating, whatever you want to say. I'm going to put some of this fragrance on my arms so that it lasts longer. I get that more throughout the day. Great fall scent. It's got a little bit of warmth to it. Definitely matches, and it's a nice story coming from the barbershop scent from Stirling. So very nice. So today's shave with the 490th use of the Nacet turned out to be good news across the board, with the value-focused products, value, but at the same time holding on to high standards. That's what we're talking about with Stirling and Whip Dog and the razor, the Fatip razor. And I'll say also that in terms of the colognes that Southern Witchcrafts offers, that's, man, I tell you what, the price is nice, and you may not get as much in their little bottle, but the price is nice, right for that kind of amount, and the quality of what they put into it, the creativity, if it's in your wheelhouse, if the scents that they're talking about sound like something you might like, then I encourage you to look at those and strongly consider picking some of those up. I love how they've incorporated wine in a couple of theirs because you just don't see that too often. Pomona has this great combination of apple and wine, along with a bunch of other supporting notes that make it quite sophisticated. And that was the first time I'd ever smelled anything like that, and it was wonderful. And they use wine in something else too. And I don't drink wine very much at all, but I just like that scent when used that way. I just thought it was creative and interesting, intriguing, very enjoyable. All right. Of course, I didn't track how much water I used because it was more like a face lather today. And what a great scent to hang around on me the next couple of hours here. So that's it for today. Hope this shave helps you out in some way. You guys curious about the Slurry Lather method? We've got yet another soap that it works really well on. If you want a quick face lather, then maybe give this thing a try. The slickness was just top notch. It was great. Just as good as what you can make if you really work up Stirling into a normal lather, a mature lather. Same slickness, same enjoyment, just at a quicker time frame. Pretty cool. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You guys take care.